Welcome to the Elite BSC podcast, where our entire focus is helping commercial janitorial contractors succeed. You want a growing company, a thriving team, and healthy profits, and we are here to help. My name is Jordan Tong. I'm the founder of Elite BSC, a company dedicated to helping janitorial companies grow and thrive. I also serve as CEO and one of the owners of France Building Services. France is a janitorial company employing nearly 600 people. Since 2007, we grew from 1.5 million to more than 20 million in annual revenue and built what I think is one of the best teams in the world. The goal of Elite BSC in this podcast is to give owners in the industry a vision of where their company can be and the information and tools to get there. I want to share what I have learned over the years to make this a reality for you. Hey guys, Jordan here with Elite BSC. So I'm recording this December 16th, Monday morning. I know Christmas is coming up. I'm probably going to take 2-3 weeks off from recording the podcast just during the holidays. And I know a lot of people are out, and I hope you have a great Christmas and New Year's, and it's a time of rest and maybe stepping away from the business a little bit and finding some respite and enjoying the holidays and family and all of that good stuff. So today I wanted to talk about a topic that is, in some senses, it's kind of boring in that it's bidding jobs and cleaning production rates and that sort of thing. It's a little bit of a technical topic, I suppose, and one that's, I've been to. The reason I say it's kind of boring is I've been to some bidding and estimating workshops for our industry. And it might have been the most boring workshop that I had ever been to in my entire life. and to be quite honest, like bidding and estimating is kind of fun. It's like this little competition that you engage in, that you're trying to figure out how to do something, and then knowing that the result that you have is going to be used to compete against other people that were trying to figure the exact same thing. And in some ways, bidding and estimating is the thing that I have done really my entire career in, one way or another. My degree is in civil engineering, so I came out of college with that and had my eyes on working in the construction industry is what I wanted to do. I did not want to do design work, and which I picked the wrong degree for that. Anyway, and so I became an estimator, a bidder. I did bidding and estimating for a big construction company in Middle Tennessee. And honestly, I didn't know anything about anything when I started, and I slowly started to learn the ropes. And in that particular field, we were a grading and utility contractor. So essentially what we would do is we go in and, let's say a developer wanted to go in and build a site. Maybe they wanted to build a neighborhood, for instance. And we would have to go in and do all of the dirt work, take the hills and put them in the low spots, and whatever the engineer had spec'd is what we had to do. And so sometimes there was a little bit of dirt to move. Sometimes there was a whole lot of dirt to move. Sometimes there was rock that we had to blow up with dynamite. And other times there was no rock at all. And then we would also have to put in water lines and sewer lines and storm drain lines, and then build the roads and all that kind of stuff. And so there was one guy on our team who did all of the dirt work estimation, and then I was responsible for all the utility estimating. And so I had to get prices on basically everything other than the dirt work. So I had to get prices on storm and sewer and water, and we'd have to connect to the main lines, and there was material costs. There was, how difficult something would depend on the conditions. So, for instance, the deeper the lines were, the more slow the process would be. Once you got past a certain point in the ground, like if you were digging, I don't remember what it is now, maybe 4 feet, you had to use trench boxes, which took a while to set up and just really slowed the process down. And so anyway, I had to learn all of this stuff. I had to meet with contractors, people who put in curb and gutters, people who blacktop the streets, all of that kind of stuff. I had to get pricing on and put that stuff together. And so it was really fascinating. And I say all that to say a couple things. One, there's a sense in where it's very, very similar to what we do in our industry. It's just our industry is just a little bit less complex, and we're trying to figure out what has to be done, how long it's going to take to do it, what materials and supplies are involved in it, and then we come up with our direct costs. Like, it's not that complicated. And really, any kind of bidding and estimating is essentially doing that process. A few years ago, we attempted to do a construction division in our company, and we did that for maybe 3 years. And it was fun, but stressful, and we ended up doing a lot of residential stuff. But even in that, it was the same process. Like, I had to go in, I'd find out what a homeowner wanted to do, all of the specifications, I'd write that down, I'd come up with pricing, how long it's going to take me to do stuff, and costs of my subcontractors in order to get the total cost. So as I look back, one of the things that I remember in my time at the construction company early on, when I first got out of college, was that we had a senior estimator on our staff, and his name was David Phillips, and I would finish my estimates, and they would take me days. Like, these estimates would often take me several days to compile because there's just a lot of content to piece together. And then I would take my estimate to him. I would have done all of my takeoffs and figured up everything and put it in my spreadsheets and started calculating everything. And then I would take it into his office, and he will have looked at the plans just a little bit, and then he would stare at my estimate, and he would take his pencil and start marking stuff up. And he just would make these massive sweeping changes without actually looking at any of the details of the numbers. And I was always like, how does he do that? But what had happened, because he'd been in the industry for 25 years, he just had a feel for what things should be like. And so as I slide over into our industry, that is certainly true as well. And those of you guys that are veterans in the industry, this, you could do estimates in your sleep, I think, depending on the kind of building, because over time you've developed this experience that you just kind of know. You can walk into a building and have a decent idea, and then once you get the square footage, you got a really good idea of exactly what it should be. And so, as I think about how to bid and estimate, there's people that will reach out to us and need help with this. And we certainly can offer some help in putting the estimates together and that sort of thing. But people are always sort of hung up, and it's typically people who are newer to the industry or someone newer to the role in the industry that you struggle with this. And so there's really a couple of ways that you can do this. We talk about this in some of our workshops and some of our training content that we do for our group. There's really we call a micro methodology to doing estimates, and there is a macro methodology to doing estimates. And so the micro methodology is essentially working one task at a time and assembling everything together in order to come out with the total time. So for instance, let's just keep it super simple. Let's say we have a 10,000 square foot office building, and it's okay, we're going to vacuum every night. So vacuuming, we can get X amount of square feet per hour. Let's say we can get 10,000 square feet an hour. So vacuuming is going to take us 1 hour. And then cleaning restrooms, we're able to get, 3 minutes per fixture. And let's say there's, 10 fixtures. So now we have another 30 minutes. So now we're at an hour and a half. And then we get empty trash. And we go on down the line, each task, total square footage or whatever the metric is, or whatever the unit is. And we figure up using some standards, for instance, ISSA has some standards that they put out, task standards of how long it takes to do various tasks. And then we apply those standards to the various units that we have, so square footage or fixture count or whatever. And we come up with a total number of hours that it takes. And then we do our corresponding, pay rates, et cetera, on that to come up with our bid. Now, this is a bit tedious, and I'll be quite honest, like, and I laugh about this. I remember the first time I put together some estimates in the industry, and I did it in this way. I would come up with these really absurdly high numbers, and I was like, well, that's not right. Like, that can't be right. The price would be astronomically too high. And so there is a little bit of, I think building up the bid from the ground floor is helpful. It's a helpful process to go through. But I think that micro methodology is, not only is it time consuming, but I think at the end of the day, it can often be not as accurate unless you have things like really, really refined. And by really refined, like, you know exactly how long it takes your people to vacuum with an upright vacuum or a backpack vacuum. You know exactly how long it takes your people because you have data and metrics on it to, clean restroom fixtures, etc. So I prefer over time, and it's a look back on my time at the construction company. What my boss, the senior estimator, would do is he would look over everything and make changes pretty quickly without delving into all the details. Is he was using a macro approach, and in the sense that, like, he could look at the whole thing and get an idea of what it should be on average. And so, for instance, in our industry, here's sort of what that looks like is, let's say that we're talking office buildings, for instance. You can go out and look at the office buildings that you are currently cleaning, and let's just say we're talking medium density, Class B office buildings, for instance. On average, you're cleaning 4,000 square feet an hour, or something in that ballpark. And so you can know with a pretty good level, if you've gone in and gotten the square footage, in the ballpark, you can know with a high degree of confidence roughly right where the hours are going to fall on that job, just because you know what it's like to do a bunch of other jobs like it. And so the more work that you have, the more buildings that you have, you can start comparing, and you say, okay, we work 5 hours over here, we work 10 hours over here. And so you can begin to calculate, X amount of square feet per hour over here, square feet per hour over here, and you get a pretty dang good approximation of your production of certain facility types. And you can do this across, medical facilities that, just say, they're surgery centers or doctor's offices, clinics, whatever. Manufacturing is a little bit trickier, in that it's in some senses a lot easier because it's more, personnel count that you're adding up, and usually you get that information from the supplier or from the prospect that you're bidding on. So, but these comparisons are super helpful, and they give you a feel for right about where you should be. And to be honest, like, I find them to be more accurate because it's using real data from within your own company. And I think it's more accurate than trying to build everything from the ground up. So, and lastly, and this sort of harkens back to my time with my old boss many years ago, that there's a certain gut feeling that you develop over time. And I don't mean this in like this hocus pocus sort of way, but there's a level of intuition that comes as you practice your craft. And there's sort of the intuition of what it's going to take. And there's also a little bit of an intuition of where I need to be in order to win this bid. So we don't always know those things exactly, but as we begin to size up our competition and sort of get a feel for where the customer is at that we're bidding on, we can often start getting a little bit closer to having a good idea of where we need to be on this thing to win and for it to be good. And so, there's a sense in where the micro stuff is helpful. I think the macro methodology is certainly more beneficial, easier to use. And then I think you need someone, and you need to develop on your team, you need to develop the competence when it comes to this, that you've got a bit of an accurate intuition on these things that you can then apply at the end of the bidding process to sort of tie everything together. So I realize this is a bit of rambling about various aspects of bidding and what approach to take with that. But I know this has been true for me, and as I think back on my career of estimating services, various kinds of services, this is really held true in no matter what kind of bidding and estimating that I've done in the past. So, hey, I hope this is helpful. If you're not a member of our group, I'd encourage you to check out EliteBSC.com. You can click on the Elite BSC group. There's a tab at the top that says Elite BSC. And we talk about this stuff a lot. I've got tons of video content for our members on this particular topic, and we've even had a workshop on it in the past. So I hope this is helpful. If we can do anything for you, please reach out to us. And hope you have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And we will see you again in 2025. If you found the information in this podcast helpful, please like and subscribe on whatever podcast platform that you're using. If you would like more resources or help to grow your cleaning company, head over to EliteBSC.com. We have loads of articles, videos, free tools, coaching options, and a lot more. If your company is greater than $500K in revenue and you want to take your learning experience to the next level, check out our mastermind group. You can learn more about that at EliteBSC.com/mastermind.